Welcome to this case study video. It's very different to the usual videos that I do. And today we've got the GOAT Thomas with me. He is one of the OGs in the community. And we're going to be talking about his transformation in the community so far, from where he started and where he is now. So, Thomas, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, my name is Thomas. I'm 16 years old. I play football. I'm interested in martial arts and I'm into a bit of trading.
Nice. And what do you do? What are your hobbies?
So, like I said before, I play football for um, for a team in my area, my local team. I play for the elders. So, yeah.
And for those who don't know me, I'm OD. I've transformed tens of millions of lives on TikTok over the last 2 years, and now I have a community where I help young people transform their confidence and reach their full potential. So, Thomas, let's talk about that actually. So, you said you're in school, you're 16 years old, and you're in the community. How have you found balancing your growth and personal development with being in school?
So, yeah, uh, I work around my schedule. So, when I'm in school, I do schoolwork and I try to get everything done. And at home, I just work on myself and I work on everything else.
And how has it been like being in the community whilst having school? Do you feel like it's been easy to keep up with everything in the community and to keep on improving yourself?
Sometimes it may get like a bit difficult because sometimes I have tests or something else I have to do extra after school. But other than that, uh, I usually like follow along quite well.
Yeah, I think you've done really well because having school every day, having all these assignments and tests has made it kind of hard to always stay on top of everything going on. But at the same time, it's also been a strength for you because I feel like it's helped you develop your confidence, your speaking, and we're going to talk more about that now, actually. So,
Yeah.
what was the problem for you before joining?
So for me, I had really like big problems with my confidence. I had a lot of self-doubt, like both like in my personal life and in sports. And I think that was mostly because of my injuries. And if you play sports as well, you can relate that when you have an injury or something like that, you usually like start to have those doubts if you're ever going to play well again or if you're ever going to heal fully. But my advice is like you just gotta keep moving. Don't let that take you down.
Yeah. And yeah, I play sports as well. I know how it feels to be injured. I know how it can mess up with your mentality and it can put you in a really bad place mentally. Like, can you describe how it felt to be in this position and how frustrating it was to try and solve these problems of confidence and being in a bad mental state?
So it felt really like frustrating because I used to underperform when I knew I could play much better. But it was just like my confidence and where I was then at mentally. Like now, I feel like it is better and like I have more courage to do stuff. And also, I had trouble speaking in front of people or in general just speaking. I over I used to overthink it a lot.
So, if you're listening to Thomas now, you wouldn't be able to tell that he has problems with speaking because he speaks pretty well now compared to where he was before. So, could you tell us how joining the community changed things for you and tell us about what things in the community actually kind of propelled you forward?
So, first of all, you have to be ready to put in the work because if you join the community and don't put in the time to work on yourself, then it's not even like worth it. And yeah,
But which parts in particular within the community helped you actually change your confidence, your mentality? Like, talk us through that.
so in this community, OD here, he has his blueprints, and he has his confident blueprint where I went through it like a 30-day kind of course, and it teaches you all the principles in having confidence and how a confident person is. And yeah, and you also have tasks to put that in action so you can just practice it.
And you said there are 30 lessons in the confidence blueprint, and you went over it during 30 days. Which lessons would you say helped you the most to go from someone who was struggling a lot with your confidence in a bad mental place to where you are now?
So for me, the confidence blueprint helped a lot because before like I said before, I wasn't really confident. Really, I felt really insecure when speaking out loud in front of people. And this blueprint helped me a lot. Uh, I just can't explain it. You have to like experience it yourself because it happened so fast.
To be honest, it's very true. You were progressing so quickly. I remember you kept on sharing your wins in the community, and it was like you were making a year's progress for the average person outside of the community within a month, let's say. Hey guys, it's Odie from the future here. If you want to become unrecognizable like Thomas in 8 weeks, if you want to transform your confidence and reach your full potential, if you want to be surrounded by like minded individuals on the same path as you, with the same goals and values, and have access to me as well, and access to blueprints that can literally change your life the same way they changed Thomas's life, the link to join my community is going to be in the description. I'd love to see you in there and help you achieve those goals. Let's zero in on some of the progress you made. So you said, for example, that you struggled a lot with your speaking, public speaking. I did some research. I think about 70% of people say that public speaking is their biggest fear. But for you, you now are very comfortable speaking in public and everything. Could you talk us through how you actually went from being scared and how the community helped you to now overcome this fear? Like what happened? What processes did you go through?
So before, I used to be very scared for like people having all their attention at me, many people at once. And especially in school, you know, where you have those presentations, you have to speak in front of class. I used to get really nervous, and I solved it through repetition. I just like thought about just it will never like I'll never have a I'll never stop. Like it will always be some time where you have to speak in front of people, and I just accepted it and kept on going. And I also like challenged myself through speaking in front of bigger crowds, like in church. So yeah, my answer is through repetition, you grow.
Yeah, I completely agree. Repetition is really important if you want to get better at speaking. I mean, if you make YouTube videos or you make videos on TikTok or you're able to speak in front of large crowds, you're definitely going to improve. And for Thomas, it was really, really impressive because we had a call in the community and then he mentioned that he's trying to improve his communication skills. And I asked him, wait, aren't you a Christian? Don't you go to church? And he's like, yeah. So then I said, why don't you try and speak in church? And literally the next day he went and he was given permission to speak in church the following week. And then he went to the front and, he spoke in front of how many people are in your church?
Like maybe 50 people,
50 people.
give or take.
That's crazy. That's way more than most people would ever speak in front of. And you just did that straight away. You took action and that's what the confidence blueprint really preaches. Confidence is all about action. It's all about taking action, doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. And I was really impressed when you did that. I mean, how did it feel going up to, in front of those 50 people in your church versus afterwards when, you'd finished it and even during as well? Tell us about that.
So at first it felt really like horrifying. It felt like my heart was beating. I was really nervous, And during the whole speech, and I read like Bible story, and like sometimes I got caught up in my words and kept stuttering, but not as much as I thought I did, because afterwards everyone was like complimenting me that I did really well, and that also taught me that your mistakes, it doesn't it doesn't like people don't see the mistakes you see
Hmm.
as much as you do. Like you magnify your mistakes. And I think that's what brings you most down or brings most people down.
Yeah, I agree. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. You know, a lot of the times, especially with speaking, every time I speak, I'm always over analyzing little mistakes I made or things I could have said here or there. But people don't notice that stuff. And it's usually a lot better for people watching than for you in your head. So, you know, that was a great experience for you. And you didn't just leave it there, but you continued and you started doing it a bit more often. How did it feel when you went up the second, the third, the fourth time?
So every single time it felt better and better. Like it went more smoothly, and I started overthinking less and less each time.
Yeah. And yeah, this is a really big lesson for people. I think if you struggle with your confidence and communication in particular, it's definitely beneficial to use whatever you have in front of you to try and improve those skills. So if you do go to a church or you're a part of a group or you're able to speak in front of people, take every opportunity, volunteer, just try and speak in front of people. And if you don't have people to speak in front of, you know, you definitely have your phone, get your phone out, film a video, post on social media, and you can even analyze that and see how you can improve your communication in that way. And could you tell us about the moment when you realized that the community was working to solve the problems that you had before joining the community? Maybe that was one of the moments, but you know, tell us about that.
So for me, it was when we have those like in the end of the week, we have those community calls with everyone, and we speak about our wins and what we want to achieve, like forwards during the next time in the future. For me, that was the thing that counted the most for me, because it doesn't feel the same if you only like talk through text.
Hmm. Could
And
you
I got
elaborate
to
on that?
know
Go on,
and I
yeah,
got to know everybody else as well.
yeah. I mean, on that point, how does it feel to be surrounded by people who are like minded?
Yeah, uh, that's a point where like you feel like you're not alone on you're not the only one going through such stuff, and you can work together. You can talk about your goals and what you want to achieve and keep each other accountable. And yeah.
And tell us more about keeping each other accountable because there's been a few times in the community where you've joined with other people like Naz and like Finley and you've held each other accountable and it's helped you. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so one example is where me and Finley, another person in our community, we went together and talked about starting to post on social media just to like get our names out maybe, or just work on our communication skills. And yeah, we held each other accountable on posting, and we're still posting to this day.
And how did it feel to have someone who's on the same path as you, same values, same goals, similar wavelength? Like, how did that feel?
So it felt easier to like keep on like doing it, because when you're alone, it's easier to give in those thoughts where you just want to stop with it or maybe give up. But when you're with someone, you keep him accountable, and if you keep him accountable and he's doing those stuff, you automatically feel like you have to do those stuff too,
Yeah,
and it pushes you out of your comfort zone.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that because there's been a few times in the community where even me, like I'll say openly something that I'm gonna do in the next week or so. And because I've said it to the community, I don't want to now not do that thing. So you definitely do feel that level of accountability. Everyone in the community is super locked in. I mean, Thomas is probably the most locked in 16-year-old I've ever met. I wish I was like Thomas when I was 16 because he's ahead of the game. This guy is he's years, light years ahead of most 16-year-olds. But having people like Thomas, having people like Finley, Naz, Jono, Jamie, and other guys in the community who can hold you accountable, who are definitely using their time well, they're living their lives to the fullest, and they're locked in. Having that, it keeps you locked in as well, and it helps you to actually make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And that's what life's all about. You know, if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it, and that's how you make progress. You know, over time. I mean, how has it helped you make progress?
So, like I said, it keeps you accountable and you do the stuff you maybe sometimes you just don't do because you're more comfortable not doing it. And when you do those stuff, it just like I said before, repetition causes growth. So if you just keep on having that disciplined mindset and those habits, you will grow. You will progress.
Yeah, I agree. And you were talking about the community calls earlier and sharing wins. You know, could you talk a bit more about sharing wins and how you were like sharing your wins before joining the community, if you did it at all, versus like being in the community now?
So in the confidence blueprint, it's mentioned that you should like acknowledge your wins. And at first, I used to really brush my wins off because I didn't like value them as much as I do now. Because then after a time, you've been like on your journey and you look back on your accomplishments, you can see that you've really done a lot. But sometimes you just don't acknowledge those wins, and you don't feel good about yourself
Why do you think that we don't acknowledge our wins?
because people focus more on the negative than the positive.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I also think that when you don't have like minded people around you, people don't really care about your wins as much either. So I guess before the community, even for me sometimes, there are things that I would achieve that I could maybe only tell my brother about it. But if I didn't have a brother, then I wouldn't have anyone to tell about it. So I can imagine if, you don't have a brother or a close friend who has the same mindset, you probably are achieving great things, but you don't think anything of it. And because you don't acknowledge those wins, you don't celebrate those wins, and there's no one to celebrate you either, you now start to believe that you haven't achieved anything. So, that's why it's so nice to have people who are like minded in the community because you can really share your wins and not just the huge wins, but also the small wins. And some of the guys in the community, I'm sure they get annoyed sometimes on like, share your win, share your win. But it's really important because even those small wins that seem super insignificant, those small wins actually add up to create those really large wins that everyone's like screaming and going crazy about. So that's one really cool part of the community that I think's benefited myself, Thomas, and everyone else in the community. Like the ability to share your wins and have people who actually care about those wins and who will cheer you on and will encourage you to keep on winning. It's like a really positive environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's talk about the confidence blueprint because you've mentioned it like twice now. Could you tell us like more about it? We spoke about it briefly before. You said that there's 30 lessons. Could you tell us about the kind of formats? What's inside of it? What can people expect to see inside of it if they join the community?
So the confidence blueprint is like 30 short videos that teaches you like every single video teaches you a lesson, and then it's up to you if you want to apply it to your life and work on it. Because if you want to, you have those tasks under the video that you can complete in your way.
Yeah. And yeah, those tasks they're a really good addition. It was actually Thomas's idea to add the tasks, but they definitely make sure that you watch the video, you take the content in, and then you don't just lose that content that you've watched. You actually apply it. So now it's not just something you've seen and forgotten. It's something that you've seen, you've applied, and now it becomes a part of you. And then as you keep on going through the different lessons in the confidence blueprint, you now start subconsciously doing everything else that you've seen in the lessons before. And could you talk about the style of the videos in the confidence blueprint? Like, what kind of style is it? How is it taught? Can you talk us through that?
So the style of the videos are, like I said before, they're short and they're really like relaxed. It isn't too formal. OD, he's cracking some jokes sometimes, and that makes it easier to learn. And his examples are really good. Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't tell him to say that. I promise. But yeah, like with the confidence blueprint, it's like 30 practical step by step video lessons. So that there's examples, there's lots of stories from my life, and probably going to be some stories from some of the other boys in the community as well, and future blueprints. And it's a really good way to build real confidence. And real confidence is something that's really rare because a lot of people think they're confident, but they think, oh, my confidence is me being loud. It's me pretending to be someone I'm not. But real confidence comes from within. And Thomas, I even think you're a perfect example of what real confidence is because you're a man of few words. You're a man of few words, very stoic man. But you're still extremely confident and probably way more confident than 99% of people now that you've watched the confidence blueprint and you've been in the community.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks.
you're welcome, man. You're welcome. And on top of the confidence blueprint, there's also the positive mindset blueprint that helps you with your mindset. Could you talk us through that as well? Like, how did that help you in your journey?
So I learned that it mistakes are, maybe you've heard this before, but mistakes do happen and it's inevitable. But it's how you react to those mistakes that actually chooses your path of growth, or like if you stay on the same progress.
And how has that helped you with your football? Because you play at quite a high level. You're 16 playing in a senior team. You know, you're bound to make mistakes in football. It happens. Anyone that's played sport, watching, mistakes happen. How has that helped you?
So for me, like when I do encounter a mistake on the field or something, I really like brush it off and just focus on the next action. Uh, Before I used to really get attached to those mistakes and really like overthink those even after training. And people wouldn't even remember those mistakes. I was the only one that used to remember those mistakes.
Wow,
And those really like dragged me down.
wow. And did that affect your performance as a whole?
Yeah, it made me like overthink on the pitch, and instead of like focusing on having fun or just playing, I had too much focus on performing, and yeah, then I made many more mistakes than if I just would have played relaxed.
Wow. And yeah, as a sportsman, I can definitely relate with that. Once you stop enjoying your sport, it's kind of the end. That's a downward spiral, and it doesn't get better from there. But would you say that after watching the positive mindset blueprint and going through all of those lessons, how would you say you are now compared to what you've just described?
So if I make a mistake, I have the mindset that if I've done it before, I know I can do it again. It's just this time it went wrong, and instead of over analyzing or thinking too much about it, I brush it out at the moment, and maybe later I look at why did I actually make that mistake? Was it because I was thinking too much, or was it because of something else?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's really good, man. That's really good, and it's been good to see you progress so quickly. Like I said, like you've become pretty much unrecognizable in 8 weeks. And some people might know what this is, but there's this thing called the hyperbolic time chamber in this anime called Dragon Ball Z. And in that hyperbolic time chamber, one of the fighters, they go in there, and in a matter of days, they make the like physical progress that people outside of the hyperbolic time chamber would make in years. It basically compresses time. And the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like that's been you. Like you've made crazy progress. You've overcome your fear of public speaking. You've transformed your confidence. You've fixed your mindset. Like it's been crazy, and you've done all of that in just a space of 8 weeks, which has been insane. I mean, what's next for you? What's the next thing that you're working on, like trying to improve on?
So right now I focus on just improving myself, my physical ability, both in football and just my strength. And I also keep on working on my mentally. I keep on working with my social interactions so I don't fall back into that place where I'm like I insecure again, because if you stop you could maybe get back into those bad habits, but it will be easier to get back into the good habits again because you have a good foundation. um for me also, I used to have a really like bad I used to think I used to care a lot what people thought of me, like uh, people's thoughts about me or everything like that in general. And I just realized that people will always have opinions, and the thing that actually brings you down aren't their opinions, is you, because you take those opinions in and you make them about yourself. You're like, you have those opinions now because you've heard theirs opinion. Yeah, that was my biggest obstacle.
Wow, and you've overcome that now.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Well, I almost brought a tear to my eye listening to that. That's Oscar worthy. That was wow. Yeah, and I completely agree. I think in the confidence blueprint we talk about what real confidence is, and as I said already, very few people have real confidence. But the reason why real confidence is so important is because it genuinely leads to you having a much better life. Like when you have real confidence, you don't care what other people think about you, and you can just freely be yourself. You can be fully comfortable in your own skin. You have a more positive self image. And when you're positive inside of yourself, you radiate this positive energy, and that means you can attract better people into your life. Better friendships, better partners, and future relationships. You can attract better opportunities. You can say yes to opportunities that come your way rather than being fearful. You can take risks. And that leads to you having a much more successful and happier life. And that's what we can see. I mean, even if you see what Thomas looked like before he joined the community versus now, like everything's changed. He's a completely new man.
Yeah, I've tried.
Yeah, and even on that, actually, taking risks. Tell us about some of the risks that you've taken recently, since joining the community.
So for me, my mostly my the taking risk taking happens on the football field, because there is all about the risk. Like, if you don't take risks, you will be comfortable, and if you stay comfortable in a sport, you will not perform really well, or people will not acknowledge you because you're like everybody else. And for me, the risk taking has mostly been there, but I've also taken risks like approaching people, talking to people, uh, talking more to girls, making more friends. Like, those social interactions really like make a difference.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And people underestimate how much those social interactions really change our lives because every single day you probably encounter thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. And just having a conversation here or there with someone who's either a stranger or someone that you know can really brighten up your day. Just one or two interactions. But so many people lack the confidence to even start a conversation. Like nowadays, you probably notice this as well. When you go down the street, everyone's head's just down. You know, everyone's afraid to start a conversation. I mean, some people might be afraid to start a conversation with you because you're 6'2", you're a big man. In fact, let me tell you this. In the community call the other day, we were all laughing because everyone was shocked. I was laughing. Everyone was shocked to find out that Thomas is 6'2". He's a big man. So that's why some people might be scared to talk to him. But Thomas is a lovely guy, and he's used his confidence to talk to people on the street, you know, start conversations, and it makes your life better, doesn't it? When you
Yeah,
interact with more people.
really does. It like makes your day better because you you now have done something that takes you out of your comfort zone, and really it's just getting out of your comfort zone because that's that's where like real dopamine comes from.
Yeah, that is real dopamine, not scrolling on TikTok at 3 a.m. But even in school, like how was life looked now that like your problems of confidence, like public speaking, mindset, and social interactions as well? How was that life looked now that you fixed those problems in school also?
So even my parents have noticed the difference because let's go back before I got those, like I really cared about people's opinions and got those self-doubts. Before I used to be really like people always used to be around me because they they just felt like attracted to my vibe. And after I got those injuries and lost confidence, uh, I really felt like it was just negativity around me. And I also noticed that people wouldn't want to be around me as much as before. And now everyone is wants to be around me because they feel better around me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. That's really big. And that's something that we kind of talk about in the positive mindset blueprint. It's like when you're a negative person, negativity is a sticky poison that really clings on to everyone. It's very contagious. So when you're a negative person, it goes on to everyone else. And now everyone else feels negative as well. But when you're a positive person, that positivity has the power to really brighten up people's day. And when you become a positive person, again, you're one of the few people who become a light and your light shines. And that means that whenever people interact with you, whenever people are around you, they feel better and they almost get a little bit of that light as well. So that sounds like what you're describing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing as well, this is a little kind of plug for the community. Like there's way more blueprints that are coming as well. So Thomas has mentioned the confidence blueprint and how that's changed his life. He's mentioned the positive mindset blueprint. We've also got the get big blueprint that is coming out next week. I'm actually releasing that on Monday probably. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that. And there's even way more blueprints that are they're coming, like stuff on social skills, stuff on communication skills, stuff on lust, and everything that really pertains to a young man's life. So that's something to look forward to as well. But before we, end this conversation, it's been a really good one, and we've spoken about a lot. Is there anything else you'd like to say? In fact, let's say this: what would you say to someone who is thinking about joining the community but is unsure? Like, what's one thing you would say to someone who's like on the edge, on the fence about joining the community?
So I would say joining the community is a really good idea. Not because OD is here listening to me, it's because it brings a lot of value. Like this stuff is really life changing because you get to build that kind of foundation of confidence, self esteem, etc. And you have people around you that are trying to achieve the same. And even those people that already have achieved that still share their like goals, and you get inspired and you just grow more because you're in that environment.
Wow. Wow. I'm telling you, Thomas has never said this much to me about the community and how it's helped him. So it's really great to hear that, it's impacted you so much. And yeah, I mean, I don't need to add to that. I'm going to put the link to join the community in the description so you can check that out. But yeah, this has been a
This has
really
been
good
a really good
conversation.
conversation.
If you join the
If you
community,
join the
you'll be
community
able to speak to Thomas yourself, and I'm sure
yourself,
he'll
and I'm sure he
motivate you and inspire you because he's probably the most locked in 16-year-old that I know and that you'll probably ever meet. If you have any questions about the community as well, send me a DM. But yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thanks, Thomas, for coming on. And yeah, I can't wait to see how much more you progress when new blueprints come in and, as you stay locked in, man. Thank you.
Thank you.